Cross your fingers, cross your toes, say a prayer to the MMA gods. Coming up this weekend, all things considered, we hope that we get the return of Zhalgas Zhumagulov taking on the debuting, the fearless Joshua Van, the former Fury FC flyweight champ, 21 years old and the first fighter to make it to the UFC representing Myanmar. If you look at a matchup like this, Matt, Van representing Houston, Texas, 4-ounce fight club with Daniel Pineda, with some big-time fighters over there. And if you look at this one, Matt, I mean, for Zhumagulov, I queued up the hair on question mark kicks last weekend. A lot to look forward to on that card. A lot of fun fights on that one. There's 14 total right now, but the biggest fight that you should look forward to...
You look like Tobey Maguire when he got the Venom suit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Zhalgas Zhumagulov
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Is fighting the fearless Joshua Van. So a big time fight. All my Zhumagulov fans, stand up. Everybody's excited about it.
Wow. All my Zhumaguls.
But for Zhumagulov, he has changed the hairstyle, but he has been on the wrong end of fighters dropping out of fights. He's supposed to fight Nate Maness. Maness is out. He's supposed to fight Estevam. Estevam out. He's supposed to fight Felipe Bunis last week. Bunis signing the poster. Somebody bought a signed Felipe Bunis poster from UFC Fight Night Vittori versus Cannonier. Bunis throws it out there on his Instagram and his Twitter out due to a little bit of the drug testing issue. So Zhumagulov, now all of a sudden, the Estevam fight, he cut weight for it. The Bunis fight, he cut weight for it. Now he's got to cut weight again, another week removed, against Joshua Van. They have this listed as a flyweight fight. I'll be interested to see where it's at, because I know with Van his last time out, the commentary team, when he won his belt against McLean, said he looks like he's added a lot of size. He is kind of a small guy at flyweight. I know he's got a height advantage, but he's not necessarily the biggest guy at flyweight.
21 though, he can grow.
But when you look at a guy like Van, I know MMA fans are very excited about him, and as am I. It's going to be a really interesting fight, because for Zhumagulov, Estevam, Bunis, and now Van, they all kind of fight in different ways. It's hard to get ready for a fight like this on short notice.
And this is the other thing I want to bring up about Zhumagulov. Not only the weight cut that's really important, what about the mindset of like, hey, I'm getting ready for it. You've got all this anxiety, you're getting ready for the fight that doesn't happen. Then you get ready for another one, doesn't happen.
I think a guy that has that many love interests has zero anxiety about anything.
I don't know. At 14-8, he probably does about his job security at this point, because this is an oddly specific and oddly important fight for a guy like Zhumagulov. We've talked about his career at length throughout this UFC tenure. He has one of the great 1-4 UFC runs that you will ever see, because he is a great sophomore test for a debut guy in the UFC, and I think that's where I'm going to get to a little bit more with this prediction. What does Zhalgas Zhumagulov do well? Well, he's pretty well-rounded, right? He's a very good pressure fighter. He makes you uncomfortable, and if you do have a lot of those question marks in your gas tank and whether or not you can deal with the pressure, we are going to see you get tired and start to fold as the fight continues. Well, Zhumagulov, against most guys in their debut, is probably going to be able to have some of that success with his physicality. That's why I say I think he's a really good sophomore test. I think guys coming into the UFC, if they do look really good in that debut, then you could fight a guy like Zhumagulov and really solidify your spot in the division.
So 1-5 in the UFC is Zhalgas Zhumagulov, 14-8 the total record. I said it last week, I'll say it again. Ali Bagwatina probably has to get read bedtime stories, because he has nightmares about Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Zhumagulov 2-0 over Bagwatinov, a win over Tagir Ulanbekov with Fight Nights Global, a win over Tyson Nam with Fight Nights Global. The former Fight Nights Global champ is Zhumagulov, but again, we talked about it ad nauseum in the record, but a chintzy loss to Halim Paiva. He has the finished loss to Manel Kopp. He also has a loss to Amir Albazi, where he looked good in the first round, but Albazi took over as the fight went on. He beat Jerome Rivera out of the UFC, a split decision loss to Jeff Molina that Zhumagulov should have won, and a split decision loss to Charles Johnson that Zhumagulov should have won. Jeff Molina fight, 30-27, Anthony Maness. Modestas Bukauskas, Zach Ponga, 30-27.
That fight was pretty close, I gotta be honest.
But if you look at it for Zhumagulov, all of a sudden you're taking on Joshua Van. The biggest things, the pressure, we haven't really seen the success of the wrestling in the UFC, but it's a left hook to the body, an overhand right, and a leg kick from Zhumagulov, and he pressures. When you get him on the back foot, he can get hit, he can get wobbled, and we'll see if Joshua Van can do that. And I've really liked, again, this run that Joshua Van's gone on with Fury. All of his amateur and pro career with Fury FC, he has the one loss by submission to a really good prospect not that long ago, back in 2021 against Devon Jackson. But if you look at it for Van, this guy's really interesting. Now, when he's on the forefoot, does he throw a lot of combinations? Not really. He throws a lot of jabs. He'll throw a nice right hand. He has a really nice leg kick that wobbles some of his opponents. Going back and watching the tape on Van, though, I've seen people shout it from the rooftops on Twitter that Joshua Van is that guy. I don't know if he's that guy, guys. I really don't. I've watched so much friggin' fight tape to get ready for Zhumagulov fights. Van is last time out. He's taking on one 17-9 Cleveland McLean. 17-9's a great record. Cleveland McLean 17-9 isn't every 17-9.
At 21, though, when you're only 7-1, I think it is a good fight to have.
McLean wins the first round of that one, and Van rallies back, wins the second round. He ends up wobbling McLean. It looks like he breaks his nose because McLean's kind of pawing at it. Jumps from the back for the standing rear naked choke, and he gets the submission win. He's taken on Paris Moran before that, almost a year ago. In that one, Moran wins the first round, out-grapples Van. Moran's a striker. And then in the second round, it was a wild blitz of a finish by Joshua Van. The win before that over Mario Suazo, he ends up getting a calf slicer like he's Brett Johns. But he rallied back in that fight. And Souza was 2-1. And Souza's wins, the two wins, over an 0-1 fighter and an 0-5 fighter. And before those fights, Joshua Van's level competition, not great as a pro, but again, I get it. He is 21 years old now. He comes in as an amateur, as a pro, as a very young man. The skills off the charts, like if you just look at them on the paper, but it's really bringing them together in these fights. He can get pressured back and held against the cage. He's got a great move to get the underhook and shuck off his opponent. I really like that out of Joshua Van. He makes guys pay when it's on the ground. Again, I struggle with the fight IQ in some of these. He's a young guy. I get it. But Van's last time out against McLaren, he's in a really good position. And then all of a sudden he jumps down and goes for like a knee bar.
And he is much more submission over position. That'll be a big issue against
Standing to the leg, and then he gets back up and he finds himself back against the fence. And he smiles because he knows he made a mistake. And he is, again, 7-1. I'm nitpicking at this point. But it is tricky. I mean, he's a guy that'll walk out to Is You Ready? By Migos. I don't like that song. They say Is You Ready so many times, and it's in too many commercials. But again, I look at this fight, Matt. So many people are hyped up on Joshua Van, and I picked Felipe Buenas last week to beat Zhumagulov that we didn't get. So I have a bit of a tricky time trying to make a pick on the fight.
If you want to know my pick slightly earlier than everybody else, go back and watch our Jim Miller fight. My prediction the last time he fought.
Matt, in the matchup, Zhumagulov is a slight favorite. We have a look at the Topology vote. Surprise us there to you. I think the fan's going to be Van, or on Van, because I've seen all that hype. So I'm going to say over-under 62.5% Van.
Under.
Under? And it is the opposite, but it's still close. 327 total votes. Again, this fight on 9 days' notice for Joshua Van. 61% with Zhumagulov, 84% by decision. For the 39% that have Van, we have 51% by knockout. I think Zhumagulov gets the win in this matchup because of what I've seen from Van. He drops his he drops his left arm when guys go for overhand rights. And I've seen that he has a good chin. Zhumagulov throws big overhand rights. His right elbow doesn't drop down low enough when guys throw the left hook to the body. Zhumagulov throws that a lot. He struggles with pressure. Zhumagulov pressures a lot. For those reasons, I think Zhumagulov gets the win in this matchup. But again, I could be on...
Did Josh Van leave you a mean comment one time?
No, but I could be... It's like...
really nitpicking.
What's Adam... it's not Adam Schefter, the guy that's... Adam Shine?
You're on your own on this one.
That's on Sirius Radio where he says you're on Planet Delusional. I could be on Planet Delusional on this matchup, but
This is more like a Sunday roast situation. You were really going at it with Van there. I think Van could have a lot of success with his game off his back. He is squirrely with his submission game, and he's a very quick grappler. I know he will jump positions to try to go for submissions, but if he really is able to use some of that size to wrap up a guy like Zhumagulov, I think he can get him into some difficult positions. I'm not predicting he's going to choke him out against the cage like he's Charles Oliveira against Will Brooks, but I do think he can have some success in some of those unorthodox positions, but I overall do agree with you. I do have Zhumagulov in this fight.
Well, the blitzes, the head kicks out of a guy like Van, he doesn't necessarily cut the cage, but when he will throw that right hook out there to cut the cage, it lands with great effect. And again, that gym that he's training out of, Rafael Alves out of that gym now, as well as Daniel Pineda. They're going to get you ready for a fight like this, even if it is on 9 days' notice. A guy represented by Iridium is Joshua Van. Matt, both of us going with Zhalgas Zhumagulov in this matchup. Maybe on Saturday I'll just do the hair regularly. We'll see how it plays out in this one. But a big-time matchup in a big-time flyweight division. Featherweight in the marquee of Josh Emmett taking on Ilia Topuria. You are not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.